I am making my final wish list this Christmas season as I am spending a lot of money on the offensive line this upcoming offseason. And I'm here to give you a full breakdown on the Bears' potential offensive lineman free agents they can sign this offseason, giving Caleb Williams what he wants for Christmas, time in the pocket. Hello, everyone. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. My name is Nick Brody, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. Thank you so much for tuning into us all year long, especially this holiday season, and I'm excited to break down today's show for you. Now, before I get into this Christmas edition of today's show, hit that like button to help wish everyone watching a happy holidays, along with commenting below who out of the following you would want the Chicago Bears to sign, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and comment who you want on it. You're in the drawing for a custom Chicago Bears jersey, which will be announced this Sunday on the community page. So the Bears are going to build around offensive lineman Darnell Wright, who I think is insanely underappreciated, especially with the sophomore year that he has had, as he's been the only consistent bright spot for this Chicago Bears offensive line, because he's having one heck of a season, standing at 6'5", 335 pounds, and only 23 years old in the second year of his contract. He is scoring a 78.5 overall grade, according to PFF, which is 16th in the NFL amongst offensive linemen, 75.5 pass block grade, and an 80.2 run block grade, 11th among offensive linemen. Stats overall, 898 offensive snaps for him this year, 7 penalties, 6 sacks allowed, 3 quarterback hits, and 24 pressures. All things considered, that he had Nate Davis, Matt Pryor, Bill Murray. He had a ton of different guys lining up next to him that were clearly not as reliable as him, and he still is only giving up stats like that. That's just as good as Trey Smith, a guy that we might pay $25 million this upcoming offseason. I'll get into in a minute. But he's been the lone bright spot. I'm very proud of how he has handled this season, a quiet successor, and I think we all needed to appreciate him a little bit more. But building around Darnell Wright, we got to get him a right guard to be his partner in crime. And the first guy that I'm going to hit on today is Trey Smith, the #1 offensive lineman free agent, according to media and stats-wise. I mean, this guy is incredible at right guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be pure luck if he does hit the market, because the Chiefs just keep finding ways to pay their players. But if that's a chance and he does hit the market, the Bears will spend a lot of money for him. Currently getting a 77.6 overall PFF grade, 9th amongst guards in the NFL, along with a 70 pass block grade, 4th amongst guards, and an 80.2 overall grade amongst guards for a run block offense, which is a 7th overall amongst guards. Stats, he's been in 1,050 snaps, #1 in the NFL amongst offensive linemen, only 9 penalties allowed during that time, so less than a percentage, along with 0 sacks allowed, 5 quarterback hits, and 24 pressures. This guy has the most snaps in the NFL with 0 sacks, which is insanely impressive. Only 5 quarterback hits, which is also insanely impressive. And yeah, he gives up a lot of pressures, but guess what? Sometimes Patrick Mahomes takes a little extra time in the pocket. But I will say this, is that a guy with a pressure rate of 2.5% and wants $25 million, I would like it to be at the 2, and that's just me being picky. I mean, that's just maybe a contract negotiation thing. But at the end of the day, I'm probably being too harsh. This guy is legit. At the end of the day, we need a right guard, a top right guard, in order to help out Darnell Wright and protect the right side for Caleb Williams. And this is the guy that the Bears should spend big on. We have $82.1 million in cap, and this is definitely someone that could chew up a lot of it, but I would love to see him in a Chicago Bears uniform. Let's go into the next guy, though, who I think is a sleeper that I would also love to see the Bears pick up if Trey Smith doesn't hit the free agent market, is Mekhi Becton, who is part of the Philadelphia Eagles. And this guy, I am shocked he is at guard considering how massive he is. But we also have Matt Pryor, who is also massive at right guard, so it makes sense. But this guy has been fantastic and could be the answer for the Chicago Bears at right guard for a fraction of what it would cost for Trey Smith. 6'7", 363 pounds, and only 25 years old, so he'd be a part of this offensive line for a while. He has a 77 overall grade at the moment with a 64 pass block grade and 77 run block grade. So not as good from a pass blocking perspective as Trey Smith, but still a solid player. He's been in 851 total offensive snaps with only 4 penalties, 3 sacks, 2 hits allowed, and 25 pressures. So slightly worse stats than Smith, considering he's been in 200 less snaps than him, but still a very big upgrade at the right guard position. And again, for a fraction of the cost, which is so big. And if the Bears are going to spend a lot on offensive line and defensive line, they might have to balance out their money. And even if they don't get Trey Smith, Mekhi is pretty darn good. And I'd like to see how this season plays out, especially with the Eagles in the playoffs and all the drama they've had. But if the Bears can get in a top offensive line coach and bring this guy in, he could skyrocket, only being 25 years old. And our right side would be locked in for at least the next 5 to 6 years. Let's go to the center options real quick. We've already gone over these guys, but there's only 2 centers in free agency at the moment that I'm interested in. First one being Drew Dalman of the Atlanta Falcons, the 4th-ranked center in the NFL according to PFF, and the number 1 center in free agency this upcoming offseason, standing at 6'3", 300 pounds and only 26 years old. He has an 85.4 pass block overall grade amongst centers, a 58.6 pass block grade, which isn't the best, but I give him a little bit of a break there because he only had so much selection this season. But an 89.1 run block grade over the last 3 seasons for the Falcons, which is absolutely incredible amongst centers. All these stats are amongst centers, by the way, because I think they play a little bit different than the rest of the offensive line. They have more responsibility. 291 snaps this year due to injury, but only 1 penalty, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, and 4 pressures allowed during that time, which is pretty darn impressive. If you times that by 5 in order to get up to Trey Smith's numbers, still about the same. So overall, I think that he's done a very fantastic job at the center position, and this is where I would spend big money on, and I know Bears fans would too. Ryan Kelly, another center who's in the market, the number 2 center at the moment in the free agency, potentially if he leaves the Colts, standing at 6'4", 307 pounds and 31 years old. His stats a little bit different, 584 snaps this year for the Indianapolis Colts, 1 penalty, 1 sack, 1 hit, and 7 pressures allowed. There's a lot to put into the factor here with Ryan Kelly. He has missed a few games this year. He is getting on the older side of things, but he is a good center when available. He's also a captain and a leader, and he scored a 70.3 pass block grade along with a 67.3 overall grade according to PFF. Multiple-time Pro Bowler, could fill in for a season or 2 until the Bears find their center of the future, or I would like to see the Bears bring him in, have the center of the future sit behind him for a season, learn from him, and then maybe throw him off back to free agency next year. But a good rental potentially for the Bears at the center position. We'll see how it ends up playing out. Now, with the Braxton Jones injury that happened this past Sunday against the Detroit Lions, it makes things interesting when it comes to a tackle perspective for the Chicago Bears. There are 3 guys, though, in free agency that are being talked about, and there's only one that I want. So the first one, Ronnie Stanley, currently the left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, standing at 6'6", 315 pounds and 30 years old. I thought I'd see better stats out of him considering he's part of the Ravens, but I got to remember Lamar Jackson is his quarterback. In 959 offensive snaps this year, 12 penalties, a big killer for the Bears this year and something definitely to call out, most of them being false starts. 2 sacks allowed and 4 quarterback hits, but remember, Lamar Jackson is your quarterback. And the fact that Lamar Jackson, who can scramble like crazy, is your quarterback and still allowing 34 pressures this year, a big red flag for Ronnie Stanley. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to put it out there. That is not my top option. I think that if it comes down to it, the Bears need a tackle, especially at left tackle this offseason. I would sign him for cheap, but I don't think he's worth left tackle money like he used to be. But the guy that I do want to hit on today that I'm excited about is Alaric Jackson of the LA Rams, which is someone I would love to see the Bears bring in as their next left tackle. Nothing against Braxton Jones, but this is clearly an upgrade and an answer for a long time, and we can get him for a good cost. 6'7", 285 pounds and only 26 years old, a 79 overall PFF grade amongst tackles, 79.2 pass blocking, and 77.9 run blocking. A high-graded left tackle, young, who has played in 836 offensive snaps with 7 penalties, 3 sacks allowed, 4 quarterback hits, and only 20 pressures. Keep in mind, Lamar Jackson is not his quarterback. Matthew Stafford, an aging quarterback who can't scramble like he used to, is his quarterback, and Stafford has had less sacks, less quarterback pressures, and less penalties and hits than he has allowed. So Jackson brings a lot to the table. He's younger. We can also get him for a fraction of the cost because he's a little bit under the radar at the moment. I'm sure his value will get higher as the season goes on, especially if the Rams make the playoffs. But he's 4 years younger than Stanley. He's still the same age as Braxton Jones, and that could be a big-time upgrade for the Chicago Bears at left tackle. Final guy I want to hit on, and this is a total last-second option if he's available, Cam Robinson, who currently plays for the Minnesota Vikings, 6'6", 335 pounds and 29 years old. 2-year contract max. He has a 64.1 overall PFF, a 72.6 pass block, but his run block I don't even want to hit on. It's pretty bad. In 862 snaps this year, 11 penalties, 6 sacks, 6 hits, and 40 quarterback pressures. Too many for me. I'm not comfortable with it, but I would like to see the Bears consider him as maybe a depth piece, but he's going to want to get starting money elsewhere, considering he's on a very successful Minnesota Vikings team, and they might re-sign him anyway. But if he becomes available, and he's available very late into the offseason, we need a left tackle, someone to the Bears can consider. Quickly this holiday season, 30-second ad. Authentico Organic Tequila. Go out and get it today. A Chicago-based startup, family-owned and women-owned on top of it. Made in Guadalajara, Mexico, 100% USDA organic and no additives. Go to the link in the description now. 10% off online orders and find it near you today. Super fast, a lot of coffee in me. Wanted to get through that ad because I want to go through my favorites. So my favorites in this entire thing, Trey Smith, obviously. I don't need to get into it. He's the top guy at right guard, and that would be huge for Darnell Wright for the years to come. But then Drew Dalman, easy money too. Absolutely great center and would be a huge upgrade in a young veteran that the Bears can bring in for a couple years in order to fill in. But this is the one I want to hit on for a minute. Alaric Jackson, left tackle. Young, successful. Less pressures. He's actually the 5th best left tackle in the NFL right now. Very low key. But no one's talking about him. I can't find many people talking about him at all. I could be wrong. Rams fans could be crazy about him. But if the Bears could get a really good deal for him, especially what he's done with PFF, and only 3 years older than Darnell Wright, our tackles are locked up for the next 4 years. Minimum. And we don't have to worry about that. You have a next couple drafts with more picks in it. But this kid could be really special. And he's done this with a tough NFC West. He's going against some pretty tough teams this year. He did a great job against Montez Sweat when the Rams played them earlier this year at Soldier Field. But overall, really good stuff out of this kid. Something to keep in mind. I'm going to do a further breakdown video of him later in the off season, but keep in mind, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Merry Christmas, though, everybody. Happy holidays. Hope everyone is having a great holiday season so far and safe. Make sure that you go and enjoy it, but also spread some joy by hitting that like button on this video, commenting who you want in the comment section, and hitting that subscribe button. It's a free gift for me, so I would really appreciate that from you guys. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. It's been a great year. We've grown 110% year over year. One of the fastest growing Bears YouTube channels in the entire podcasting world. So thank you so much for tuning in. But with that, thank you as always for tuning in. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Have a safe holiday season. And we'll see you guys next time. And as always, bear down, baby.